Bom dia, Portugal!
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, a live stream and podcast. Tudo bem? Como estás? How are you doing today? Let us know in the chat, please, if you will, and send pictures and videos to 913-590-303. Let's go straight there because we have been sent the most beautiful eclipse pictures this morning. Thank you, Owen, for this. That is absolutely stunning, isn't it? Through a tree branch, I think there. On the path in the United States of America, in the excited states of asparagus. Looks like the best pictures were taken in the States yesterday. Great job. Thank you very much. That was from that's Owen's friend of a friend. I think if I remember rightly, Ellie took that picture and it made its way to us here on a Good Morning Portugal. Did you feel anything different? And I know there was a whole range of responses, reactions to the eclipse, like, yeah, just the moon getting in the way of the sun, and then full on, it's the end of the world. It's a sign. And then maybe like, wow, isn't that wonderful? Isn't that a bit unusual? Isn't that a miracle that these massive heavenly bodies, talking of heavenly bodies, we've got a God Squad tip of the day coming up, but yeah, these wonderful, huge things in the sky that we take for granted every day are doing something a little bit unusual. So I'm wondering what you made of that yesterday. Here's another way of looking at it. Thank you very much, T-Duck, for this. Explained with cats there. That could almost be happening in our house. That's the sort of thing that happens here at Carl Munson. Might have a dog and a cat in the picture, though. And yes, apocalyptic rather than just straightforward feline lineup there, a cat fighting with a dog, a special kind of aggressive eclipse of domestic pets. But that isn't that, if you need a way of explaining that to people who like cats, there's your way. We all have different learning styles. Excellent. Thank you very much for that, T-Duck. This morning, then, Mamabear McGowan joins us at around 9. She's going to be here for about half an hour. I think she's going to pop off to her book club, as in a book writing club, I think, creativity, self-generated literary creativity. I'm not there's anything wrong with being in a book club where you review other people's books, but I think she's in a book club where she's writing the books, and she's written one or two, of course, and writes poetry, and is the host of our Share and Care Portugal group on Facebook, dealing with the sort of subjects we don't like to talk about necessarily, but if we don't, it can cause us trouble. So we haven't done this for a while. It's the Departure Lounge here on the Good Morning Portugal show, getting things in order for when the inevitable comes and you find yourself in Portugal. It can be a little bit different to how things are back home, and you might make assumptions that can catch out your loved ones who succeed you. So looking at the nuts and bolts, the dotting the I's and the crossing of the T's when it comes to getting your affairs in order, so that you don't have to worry about that, and nor does anybody else, and highlighting some of the differences that catch people out. That's with Mama Bear from 9 till 9:30. And then this gentleman on the right of the picture here, in-ear Portuguese translators. Time Kettle, I think it's called, which is a strange name for the product. We'll find out from Paul how he's getting on with it, what possessed him in the first place to get such a thing, which is a little device that goes in your ear, not unlike an earbud, a Bluetooth earbud, but it translates languages in real time. Time Kettle, I think, is one proprietary brand. And I'm wondering whether he can choose a Yorkshire accent so that he can understand it a bit better. But there he is, our favourite. Is he our favourite Yorkshireman? He's one of our. I don't want to offend. You don't want to be offending Yorkshiremen. I think they might bear a grudge. Hey, I heard what you said on radio show. Your favourite Yorkshireman, indeed. Well, that's it. Our friendship's over, lad. He's one of our favourite Yorkshiremen. It's Paul Richards joining us from the Algarve, talking about how he's fallen in love, I think, with the idea of in-ear translation. We'll find out how that works, if it works, a little bit later on at around 9:30 this morning. How are you doing today? Well, I hope. Dwayne, come on, let me know. Love the cat eclipse. Right, I'll send that on to you, João. I thought you might like that. And you started the day, of course, with a Bom dia, Portugal! Echoing through the hills and valleys of Pontelima. I hope it's lovely up there this morning. It's looking pretty good. I only have to do a weather forecast. Well, I don't do the forecast. I just read out what other people are suspecting is going to be happening with the weather. And it looked like a completely rainy week. I was out cycling and walking yesterday, and I got caught in a little bit of a spotting shower. Nothing too serious. So I think this weather forecasting is all to cock here. Not especially reliable, but still I keep looking at it. Yeah, I mean if I scroll through, if you have a look at this on the screen now, our weather page, which I mean it's not our weather page. It's an app that allows us to embed the weather. And if they put their little logo on, I would give them due credit, but I can't see who it is anymore. And we did this a long time ago, but it's cloudy all the way, all over the country. And I think even the autonomous regions with a little bit of sunshine peeking out from time to time. But that looks all wrong to me as I scroll up and down, giving you vertigo and making you dizzy there looking at that screen as I scroll. Yeah, not a single place with a sunny day, even here in Leria. Leria, where we are this morning. 17 is the high, which is pretty respectable, starting out at 7. But no, okay. It says a few clouds and a little bit of sunshine poking through. But it looks like a lovely, bright, sunny day. So warm, in fact, and so mild and bright looking that I've got the studio door open for the first time, I think, possibly this year. There we go. That's all right now. Okay, thank you very much for your help on that. Nope, 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 nope. I don't know why that happened. It's the very first time that the Rodecaster Pro has indeed frozen during a show. Is it something to do with the 50,000 rupiah note that was on the mixing desk there? Don't know what happened. That's never happened before. But so there you go. And I don't know. I don't know. Oh, Ian Reed. Good morning to you. I don't know why that happened, and hope it will never happen again. But sorry about that. And it happened, I think, when I started talking about Jackie, the humble crafter, and the a cuppa, a smoke, and GMP. Perfect start to the day. Apart from when the sound goes and you can't hear us anyway. Yes, climate change. Must be climate change. Well, I don't know, honestly. Ian Reed, which Ian is that? No volume, bud. Thank you very much. Ian Reed, my new neighbor Ian, perhaps, or a different Ian Reed. How are you doing, Ian? Good to see you here this morning. Let us know more about yourself, if you don't mind. Sorry, I'm maybe being a bit forward. You might just want to issue the occasional comment and not say too much about yourself, but it'd be lovely to know a bit more about you. Lovely to see a new name on the screen. Now, a number of things to talk about. Was it when I started talking about smoking and was holding up an old empty beer carton here? This is your Portuguese for the morning. As you know, we're doing more to speak Portuguese. So I've got a few props with me this morning. Loads of bottles of beer in the studio and a little bit of a quiz for you. Where should we go first? I think what I'm going to do before Mamabear gets here at 9 o'clock, let's have a look at this. Why I've got a 50,000 rupiah note on the desk here. It's because this was out on Facebook yesterday, and now I've copied the picture, and I think the person it was in a private. Let me put it this way: it wasn't a public post on Facebook. But I think it's fair game to without revealing this person's identity, to speak of the quandary that they found themselves in yesterday. They were doing a house clearance in the UK, and they chanced upon, I think, 2 or 3 of these notes. And it was one of those wonderful moments, isn't it, where you think to yourself, that's incredible. I have found 300 or 400 escudos. I wonder, am I rich? Is that like 300 or 400 euros? Now, sadly, it turns out it probably isn't. If they were in mint condition, they might be worth about 10 or 15 euros a piece. In bad condition, which they look to be, they're worth about 40 or 50 cents each. So the roller coaster ride of house clearance and finding wonderful things, and then crashing and burning. Solar eclipse. Maybe that was maybe that was it. Maybe that was the apocalyptic content or intent of the eclipse. Crashed the sound. Well, if that's all that happens, no problem. Crazy but true. A woman named Sunny Hostin on a show called The View tried to blame the eclipse on climate change. I did see that. I thought it was a joke. Okay, all right. Back to the 100 escudos notes. Saying escudos there. 100 gold escudos. Isn't that a beautiful banknote? And I'm not sure who that is on the note there. I don't recognize that as Pessoa or Camões. I wonder who that might be. A Portuguese friend who might be watching. The likes of, for example, Antonio F might be able to tell us. The Naunu has a coin book where I have 300 coins from different countries. And you do think in the back of your mind, don't you? One of those might be a gold coin from somewhere. That's going to make me rich one day, but then maybe not at the same time. And then I was reminded that when we were doing some tidying up over the weekend, our own kind of mini house clearance here, not moving or anything like that. We just had a really big spring clean over the weekend. 50,000 rupiah emerged as well. And that sounds like it's got to be worth a lot of money from the Bank of Indonesia. But again, probably only worth about 50 cents, 50 pence, that sort of thing. Okay, let us know if you disagree, if you think otherwise. And let's do a little bit of Portuguese this morning in anticipation of Mamabear McGowan and the Departure Lounge, getting our affairs in order. Things can be a little bit different when people pass away here in Portugal, and we want to make sure there's the least possible friction at that terrible time in our communal lives here in Portugal, with the things that you might want to be aware of. And Paul Richards joining us at 9:30, or as he would say, 9:30, and talking about in-ear translators, which of course is a great way of learning Portuguese, or at least understanding it, if not learning it. Hold on, one more. I think, did this come from you, James, this morning? And we will get back to your comments in just a moment. But I think this was you. The lunar eclipse, the solar eclipse, the apocalypse. That's right, when the sun is in the middle, and then the alpacalypse, which reminded me that we haven't spoken to Lisa Velagat for a little while. So I've been in touch with her. It was lovely, wasn't it, talking to Lisa of the alpaca farm, the Montefrio alpaca farm up there, north of Aveiro. So she will be back on the screen. And when we last spoke, she offered to make socks from alpaca wool live on the TV. Is that a cup of coffee? Oh, no. It's Mrs. M looking for something in the studio. Look, lunar eclipse, solar eclipse, apocalypse, alpacalypse. Mrs. M. She likes that. Okay, let's go back to, there we go, the frame on the screen, and Superbox efforts to bring about world peace. Now, I've got a little bit of a quiz for you. Where was it? It was an early comment. We will have a God's Good Tip of the Day and a mindful moment as well, mixing it up a bit this morning. Okay, so here's the quiz for you. This is a 6-pack of beers, and it is where are we? Edição das Pazes, the peace edition of Superbox. We need more of this in the world, don't we? Efforts to bring about peace and harmony. And this is look, translating various parts of it on the packaging there. Wanna talk? You know, basically the idea of this, I think, from Superbox is you thrust a beer in a friend's hand. You know, it might have got a bit icy, there might have been problems, but like, let's sort this out over a beer. Isn't that the best kind of diplomacy? Beer-based diplomacy. And let's put everything in clean cups, which must be a Portuguese idiom. Like, let's start with clean cups. That sounds like a good idea, doesn't it? And it's a lovely turn of phrase as well. And the beer that says what you can't say or what you don't want to say, basically. And a mea culpa on there, which is a great idea. I was attracted to these. My apology, my bad, is that I bought Superboc instead of Sagres. I prefer Sagres, but their marketing is not as clever, arguably, as Superboc here. I'm hoping we've got the sound back. Yes, that was me. And a good morning, everyone. I wonder how much this is worth, the image on the Portuguese note. Yes, that fella on there does look like he's wondering that. Okay, so let me go back to my earlier comment then and try you out with a bit of Portuguese this morning. There's going to be more of this. If you don't want to learn Portuguese, you're in the wrong place. So that one's fairly straightforward, isn't it? What does that translate as? That, of course, is just the signature label with a nice little handshake on. That's a nice logo, isn't it? That's the Peace Edition signature label. But I've got 4 others on my desk, and I would like you to tell me from multiple choice here what they mean. Fui parvo this morning. Is that sorry? Is that friends? Can we be friends? Is that I was bad, or I did bad, or I was a fool? Now, if you just type a letter into the chat, this is going to get very confusing. So it might be better if you put fui parvo means, for example. Oh, this one's empty. It got drunk last night. Estive mal. Estive mal. Is that sorry? A, is that B, friends? Is it C, I was bad? Or D, I was a fool? Estive mal. And this is probably the easiest one. But can you imagine being handed that as you enter somebody's house, if the atmosphere's been a little bit frosty? But so's the beer. The beer is frosty, cold. The cap has been pulled, and you're handed it. And it's like, can we be amigas? What does that mean? Is it A, sorry? Is it B, friends? Is it C, I was bad? Or D, I was a fool? And finally, or did I already do this one? No, desculpa. You know this one as well. That's the easiest one, isn't it? Desculpa. Is that A, sorry? Is it B, friends? Is it C, I was bad? Or D, I was a fool? And interestingly here, we've got desculpa with an A. I would have thought that would be an E, generally speaking. And amigas might be amigos. Is this what would happen when one lady has fallen out with another lady and wants to be friends again. I think generally speaking, the standard plural of friends is amigos there. So that's perhaps with female communication and the women leading the way there with beer-based diplomacy. Let me see how you're getting on with that. Very good. Female friends, yes. Amigos, thank you, James. Desculpa, sorry, very good. And very good, Ian Reed. Good morning to you. Thank you for being here. Festive mal, I was bad. James agreeing. Estive mal, I was bad. Not a festive mal, but an estive mal, I was bad. A festive mal is something different, but a beer is still the solution this morning. Thank you very much. Well done, everybody. I'll pop that over at the Portugal Club as well. Superb. Let's go to the God Squad tip of the day then, in anticipation of Mamabear McGowan this morning. Bon dia todos. A feliz terça from Coach Turner at 7:41 this morning. Training and coaching later, probably inside as it's a bit soggy this morning. Oh, okay, so soggy in the UK. Still a lovely blue sky here. They're doing their best to fill the sky, though, with some vapors here, which tends to make it a bit cloudier later on, I've noticed, as they crisscross the sky. Probably inside then, as it's a bit soggy this morning. Hope all have a great day. God Squad tip of the day then, as I suspect none of us are going to be doing 4 hours of training each day. I nearly did that yesterday. With what I was doing. 4 hours of training, yes, cycling and walking yesterday, good combos, and probably 4 hours of at least, I think, of manual labor yesterday. Very good, isn't it? A bit of manual labor, get in the body. As I suspect none of us are going to be doing 4 hours of training each day, like the guy I mentioned yesterday, says Coach Turner. I thought it might be helpful to go through what I do in a week. Most days, what does the coach do? Most days I walk down the road for a coffee. Takes about 15 minutes each way, so that's half an hour. Very good. The recommended minimum. I do sprint training twice a week, 6 to 8 reps of various distances. Excellent. Bit of fartlek. Finally, I do about 5 minutes. When you're doing your sprinting, are you walking and jogging and then bursting into a sprint? Is that how it works, Coach Turner? And 6 to 8 reps then of various distances. Finally, I do about 5 minutes of strength exercises most days. And that's it. It seems to keep me reasonably fit and healthy, enough to enjoy life. What might you do? Thank you very much. Do let us know in the chat. I think James did exactly that. Yes, bon dia, Ian, not that much, but I do stretches and burpees for about 20 minutes, 4 days a week. Not overdoing it there, but doing something. Very good. Nice one, James, who was here at 7:54 with a bon dia gumpers. Feliz terça todos, como va? And a mindful moment, of course, from James. The longer we dwell on our misfortunes, the greater is their power to harm us. Voltaire. Very interesting. Now, I've been thinking about this a lot just recently, and this whole idea of the things that affect us from the past. Trauma, grief, these sorts of things. Now, if we dwell on things, I get the idea there. If we dwell on them, they may preoccupy and dominate our minds. But can we move on from them if we don't dwell on them at all? Mamabear McGowan might be able to answer that when she joins us in a little while. I'm sure she'll have something to say about that. Yes, she does. Mindful dad joke then. Meditate to be a better selfish. So-and-so, I'm going to say there. Yes, one might say meditation is selfish and self-centered. And indeed, we have a fantastic meme here to go with this. Let me get rid of all the comments on the screen so you can actually see it. Bad memories. You see, I'm not going to dwell on that, but that was a bad memory from earlier on in the show. Silence is not golden when I lost the sound. I need to get rid of this banner in just a moment as well. This is Sister Teresa, known for her high intelligence, better known as none the wiser. Very good. Thank you very much for that, James, this morning. And I think it was you as well that shared the lunar eclipse, solar eclipse, apocalypse, and alpaca lips meme with us. Thank you for everything from you this morning, James. Let's go back to your comments and reinstall the banner because it's telling us Mamabear McGowan is joining us in just a moment. And of course, Paul Richards later on with his in-ear translator that I want to find out more about, because the applications for that are quite extraordinary, aren't they? It's like having an inner dialogue, isn't it? So when it connects with Neuralink as well as real-time translation, it's going to be, you can be thinking twice. You can have your own thoughts. Then you can have the thoughts of the time kettle. You can have one in each ear representing different characters. and in different accents maybe as well. I wonder, is that a good idea? Probably not. Okay, where did we get to? We got to burpees, we got to Voltaire, we got to selfish so-and-sos, and we did our Portuguese quiz. We're welcoming Coach Turner, João Denor, and newbie, a rookie, a Gumper, maybe not a rookie Gumper, but new to the screen this morning, Ian Reid. Good morning to you. And we overcame that sound issue. Still don't know what happened there, but fingers crossed for it not happening again. How do we know that the eclipse wasn't due to climate change, to be fair, João Denort? You know, science is changing all the time. It's not a closed book or conclusive in any way. It could be. She went on apparently to also blame the recent New York earthquake on the cyclical every 17 years cicada emergence, also on climate change. She was promptly corrected. Who by? I wonder there. Was it Neil deGrasse Tyson? Did they bring him in to condescend on anyone with a different view? I wonder how much this is worth. Yeah, that's the caption for. And if you've got other captions for the 100 escudo note, there you go. He's wondering how much this will be worth in many years' time as he sits. I think he's pictured there, isn't he, in Lisboa on the 4th of June in a previous century. Right there. Who is that character? We need Antonio F. To answer that question for us there. Yeah, Gemini popped in. Good morning to you, Gemini, possibly on the way to work. And well done, Erica K. Very good. Desculpa, excuse me. Desculpa, sorry. Oh, okay. No, come on. Connie Sensor is excuse me, is it not? If you watch, you know, none of these, it's not learning Portuguese is definitely not science. Things can change from by the time you get to the end of a sentence in Portuguese, let alone be settled for good. Desculpa, that's interesting. See, I'd have had excuse me as Connie Sensor, but you've got desculpa as sorry and desculpa with an E as excuse me. Thank you, Erica K, and thank you for being here this morning. Unfortunately, that apocalypse meme didn't include epoxy lips. What are they? And hello from Liz, or should that be a bonjour? You in Paris this morning. Desculpa with an E is the formal form. I thought so, whereas desculpa is the informal form, like the difference between você and tu. Thank you, Liz. That is settled, at least for the next few minutes. Darn, it's only worth 40 cents. Well, apparently, if it had been in mint condition, it might have been worth a little bit more. Like everything, it seems, in life. But, you know, I mean, could you apply that to humans? When we're in mint condition, are we worth more? Not in terms of wisdom, perhaps just in terms of superficiality. But when life rubs the edges of us, rubs the edges of us off, you try saying that. I think we're worth more and valuable in a different kind of way. Yes, what Liz said, says James there. So desculpa, just to reiterate that then. With I've got beer bottles. If goodness gracious, if the vicar walks in this morning, the local priest is going to think there's been a terrible thing going on here or about to. Desculpa, E is the formal form, whereas desculpa, this one, which you'd expect on a beer bottle, right? You're not going to be all formal with a beer bottle, not for long anyway. That's the informal form right there, the difference between você and tu. Thanks for that, Liz. And yeah, Connie Sensor, excuse me while I pass by, which should always be uttered whenever possible. And the noun finally then, on the currency note, the guy on the currency note, draw me like one of your French girls. That also works. Does it not? Very good. Thank you for that, the Nanu, and thank you for being here this morning. Let's give her a nice big round of applause. And bring her onto the screen. Hola, bom dia. In the kitchen.
Bom dia.
Hola, bom dia. Tudo bem? How are you?
Yeah, in the kitchen.
In
Good,
the
thank
kitchen.
you.
How's it going, Mama Bear? Lovely to see you. And the sunshine on your face.
Yeah, it's pretty sunny out there. It's good. Pretty.
Good. Excellent, excellent. And you responded to that earlier comment there. Who was that that we were quoting about dwelling on misfortune? Here we go. Voltaire, back to France. The longer we dwell on our misfortunes, the greater is their power to harm us. Now, there's an irony, a paradox here. If we don't dwell on them at all, they affect us anyway, don't they?
Well, basically, universal law of psychic cause and effect. So whatever we think about will just come back at us. It attracts more of it. Right. So really, when we dwell on our misfortunes, what we're doing is it's like a silent prayer for more. more
Oh
misfortune.
my goodness!
So,
Right, okay. Nobody got time for that.
So when we've got that undertone, that feeling tone under our normal thing, where actually we're really feeling our misfortunes and it's affecting everything, it'll bring in more of whatever it is. And by depressing our feelings, what we're doing is causing a depression. And that's why we've got so many people in the states that they're in today. We've got to learn to express ourselves and give. I just went then, didn't I? So expression, self-expression, very important.
Okay, and as James wisely, sagely points out here, resolving issues is not dwelling on them. And I guess if you're in the mindset of I am positively, proactively dealing with this thing that hurt me, the universe might hear that in a certain way and give you the resources to do so.
It goes with your strongest undertone or the strongest current. Yeah. If you think of you like the sea or a body of water, which we are, the strongest current in there, the strongest inner feeling, not necessarily what we're expressing verbally, but whatever's going on inside is what we're going to get on the outside. So we're going to attract that.
Yes, which also connects us to the other thing James said, which is meditation might look a bit selfish and self-centered. However, to find that strongest undercurrent, meditation would be quite a good way to access that, would it not?
Yes, meditation is, but that's correct meditation. The meditation where people think we've got to be in silence without thoughts in our minds, that's incorrect meditation. All you're doing is getting yourself frustrated. That is not meditation. Meditation is where you give yourself space. So sitting and taking a moment to give yourself space. And when something comes up, so a thought will come up in our mind, it's just allowing it to be there so you're observing what's there, but without getting attached. It's not personal. You're watching a movie. It's the movie of your life. It's the stories we all make up. That's our personal perspective. And if you watch as if you're a third person and not the actress or actor, then you're able to see from a higher, wiser perspective that will help you work out what's real, what's true, and what's absolute truth. That's how you get yourself out of your puddle.
Okay, yeah, and yeah, I guess the meditation where you're sat there and like, I'm trying not to think. I'm trying not to think. Oh dear, I'm thinking about trying not to think. I can't meditate. This is so difficult. I can't do anything. In fact, I'm rubbish at everything. That is gold dust in one sense, isn't it? Because you've seen it. If you could observe that thought pattern, you might be given a gift. But if you go with it and you think you're rubbish at everything because you can't do meditation, for example, you're back to square one, if you like.
Yeah, it's being kind to yourself. So you're like, okay, there's that again.
There you are.
I don't laugh so much at myself, but with myself.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've been meditating years and years, and I'll sit there and I'll drop into a meditation, and then all of a sudden I'll realize I'm totally caught up, and I'm like, ha ha, got me again. No worries. Okay, go back to the breath. Where's the breath? Absolutely. Where's the sensation as I'm inhaling? Where's the pause? Where's the exhale? You know, drop back into the body, into the heart space, and then go that way.
And that's so beautiful, isn't it? That we have that to come back to if we're lucky, because that is whatever you might call it, God's gift, life's gift, the universe's gift to us. If that breath is still going, we've got something to work with right there. And we kind of need
it.
There
is people that can't do that, though, especially like people with ALS.
Right.
So there's people that don't really have the breath as such. They can't tune in. And ALS is an extreme example, but it's one of the serious illnesses where you're not really in control of your breath or how your body is, and some people are on machines which are breathing for them. So in that case, you need to find another focal point. So if you can't focus on like your breath, or maybe you can focus on your heart or your chest rising and falling, or your heart beating, maybe you can stare at a light bulb or a candle flame, and it's finding a point, a single point to focus on, where that will allow you to concentrate and focus on that while you gather yourself together. Another thing for people who struggle with having a focus point like that, it can be a mantra. So you can bring in a mantra, something simple like Ram. Ram is God in I think Hindu. And you just say Ram, Ram, Ram. I mean, you could say God, 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 or I like Ram better. But you know, you could say whatever the hell you like, really. It's just something that you can say that's simple and short, that allows you to just go in.
Yep. So you get a
The
flame, a flower,
sounds
a
are
sound.
great. Yeah, sounds are great, but if you're focusing on it, sounds and guided meditations are good to hold the space, help you hold the space, but those things end quicker.
Yes.
So,
Okay, very good.
yeah.
Well, excellent. And you can also say Om. There's a good old favorite right there, an Om as well. Primordial sounds. Very good. Thank you, the Naunu. Now, yes, I was going to make a link there with the breath. And of course, all of us at some point, sorry if this is a surprise to anybody, but we will have our last breath at some point, and we'll transition, move on, or whatever you believe happens at that point. And this is the Departure Lounge, where we dare to speak of such matters. And I thought for a while, we haven't spoken about the practicalities in the Departure Lounge section of the Good Morning Portugal show. And it might be good to refresh, because it's been a while.
It was an honour, not last week, the week before, to hold a funeral for one of the beautiful residents here in central Portugal. Someone else who'd been here for a good 4 years, beautiful person. And the wonderful thing about holding funerals is you get to meet so many people, and you get to see into the life that they're celebrating, and help them to celebrate and honor that life in a way that's precious for them. And it's absolutely beautiful to be part of that. And with this particular family, I'd supported them through the whole funeral process. So that even from the hospital to the chapel, taking care of the body, all the way through to after the crematorium, and then serving them at the wake. So it's been a really interesting few weeks, and an absolute blessing and honor, and to work so closely with the funeral directors this time, which I've not done before. I've been able to help guide people and say, help people understand it's about what you want, not what they want. And to be able to go in and help people realize they've got a choice is fantastic, and make things personal is even more, you know, when it's something, and help them understand the culture and bring together the traditional Portuguese way of things with something that's a little more personal and more British, I suppose, in a way. It was kind of an American cross British funeral, I suppose you could call it.
A hybrid.
It was
a
definitely
transatlantic
a celebrant. Pardon?
Okay, very, very interesting. Very interesting. So you were able then to bring the cultures together, as it were, because I guess if your final wishes can't be honoured, it doesn't say much about life, does it, and or the society we live in. And although, having said that, what tends to happen with the industry that we have with death and dying is that people are so traumatized and upset the juggernaut of what exists in any given culture tends to dominate, doesn't it, and overrule. So there you were in a position to say, hold on a minute, we don't have to do it quite like that. There may be things we can do. Is that what you were facilitating in that situation?
Yeah, it is. So basically, it's like they were atheists, so they didn't agree with crosses, for instance, and they were trying to be pushed into having a coffin with a cross on and a cremation urn with a cross on. I was able to say, no, this is not happening. This is not acceptable. This is against a person's belief systems.
Wow.
I want you to go and find something proper and in alignment with their wishes, which they did. And they did a good job, but they needed that push. So the crosses were all removed, and there was no crosses then anywhere near the body, on the casket or coffin, or on the cremation urn. And then we managed, like, you can get your own. We had a bit of a to-do, if you like, that the funeral service was saying you have to have a box and it's a legal requirement. I went, whoa, I'm not having any of that. So I went to our friend Nelson and spoke to Nelson, and then I got in touch with Christina as well. You'll remember Christina is the new lady we're recommending on Share and Care Portugal. She's been incredibly helpful. So basically, the law in Portugal says you've got to have a suitable, appropriate box that can contain the ashes safely. So we were able to sort that out. So you can order your own, like order one now. Why not? Just, there's some real pretty things out there. You can order it, get it delivered, and then stick it to one side so it's there when it's time, because they won't allow you to have your ashes until, well, not your ashes, but someone else's. You can't pick up the ashes until you've got a suitable box to put them on. So you've got to make sure that if you don't want to be in something with a cross, that you state that clearly, and things can be done. There's also more eco-friendly caskets than others for cremations. So there's less metal on them, you know. So these things have got to be taken into consideration. The other thing I want to mention, well, I've got a chance, get your will sorted out, people. Get your living will, which is what helps you. If for instance, something happens to me today and I'm not able to speak, so I lose the capacity to speak. So maybe I'm in a coma, maybe I lose my memory for some reason. You know, maybe I'm in an operation, and because I'm asleep in an operation, I can't speak my truth. I can't be asked a question and reply with a sane answer or something. I'm in a state of shock. We're not able to speak for ourselves clearly either, because we can't think straight. When we have a living will in place, we're working out what we want while we're capable, while we got the capacity to do so that someone can act on our behalf as a power of attorney, to represent us for medically and financially, and keep our stuff in order while we're still alive but haven't passed yet.
Yes. And is that power of attorney designated in the living will that you're speaking of?
Yeah, it can be, yes.
Okay. All right. And yeah, good question from Erica. Morning to you, Sarah. Thank you for joining us. Is a living will valid is a USA living will valid in Portugal? Do we have to speak to Nelson about this?
Yes, it is. Yeah, you can have a living will, and if you USA living will or English UK living will, that is still legal in Portugal. Really, what I find really helps is to get yourself a representative in Portugal who can translate for you, who you can record it with. Yeah. So I recommend having not just your Portuguese sorry, not just your English or your American wills for living will and dead will, dying will, whilst dead will. You should have and those wills stand in Portuguese law, but Portuguese law won't follow them if no one knows about them, and no one will know unless you appoint a representative. So set that up now and make sure that representative is fluent in Portuguese, or even better, Portuguese.
Yeah.
Because they know the system. When you walk into somewhere, you get treated as very often as a second citizen. When you go and try and speak the language, you get a bit of respect for that, but they still do it their way. When you have a Portuguese person with you, you're onto a winner. So we do what we can, but when needed, get yourself someone who's Portuguese who can definitely translate for you and make sure
that's very
everything
interesting.
happens.
And it's probably likely to happen anywhere in the world, isn't it? In the grave circumstances we're talking about, there is a way of doing things, isn't it? And there has to be a way of doing things, because we are talking about a very serious situation. However, if you've got wishes that are counter to the way of doing things in the country you now find yourself, you have to signal that, don't you? And you have to have something set up that would have the plan somewhat different. And we did speak to Nelson, didn't we? The wonderful Portuguese lawyer who's worked in the United States and over here, and he is able to create wills with and for people. So reach out to me or with M here, and we can connect you with Nelson. You mentioned somebody else as well.
Christina is also I've somewhere. Oh, it's in there. On Sharing Care Portugal, she's in one of the pinned posts at the top with her number. You can contact Christina or her team, and they will be able to sort you out with a will and with a living will, and they can work as powers as attorneys too. They help out with all your household stuff, all your if you bought land here, you want to get everything right with that, go to them. Now they're based in Castelo Branco, but they'll serve like Penamac or Coimbra, but really you could do with coming to them. Certainly contact them, and please do tell them that you came through myself and Carl and Share and Care, so that they know that. There we go. Yeah, well done, Carl. Thank you.
I will. I'll copy that link into the chat as well. So Cristina Moreira and her team can support you with Portuguese wills. I think this is a trend that will continue, and will perhaps have lawyers of a similar ability around the country. But this is a great start, isn't it? Portuguese wills, getting all your paperwork in order after a person dies, legislation around living in Portugal, any money you may be entitled to after a bereavement, translations as well. And they are this company are in Castelo Branco, and that's their phone number on the screen there. And I'll put a link to it as well for anybody who might want to use that. That's wonderful. That's a really good resource. Thank you very much for that.
And as an extra pointer, if you've got children or if you're in a partnership, because this has come up, and luckily things were in order for this couple, but when you're not in, say you might not be married, or you're married and you've got children, or you're married and you've both got children, what happens is, if you haven't got a will in place, the money goes to your partner and their children and your children. So unless you've got something in place saying that if I die, I want all my money to go to my partner, or if I die, I don't want my partner, I want my children, or if I die, I don't want this child, or I only want my children, not their children, get yourself a will sorted. Because
in Portuguese law, that's just what will happen, isn't it?
What happens is your car gets taken, and you can't drive your car until it's been sold back to you from your children. And that's if you're even talking to them. You've got your bank account, which you can't touch your money until your children and their children out what you're allowed to do with it. Like I said, this person had thankfully sorted their stuff out, But can you imagine having to go through the rigmarole of someone dying and then not being able to access your money because the money was being sorted out between you and your children and their, or your joint children. So yeah, please do get your shit in order, folks. Save the headache for everyone that you leave behind.
Yes, that's right. And this comes back to the old chestnut, doesn't it? You don't assume it's the same as where you come from. I think generally speaking, this works well in the Portuguese culture because people know that's what's going to happen and they live their lives accordingly. If you've lived your life differently and you come from a big blended family and there are troubles between people, the Portuguese law will dominate that and can put you in quite a difficult situation. So make sure you've sort of rerouted or reconfigured this with an appropriate legal person. We've got Daniel, we've got Christina now. Daniel Reis of Reis and Pelicano does something similar. But I guess begin those conversations, I suppose, is your top advice this morning, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And of course, I also want to remind people, if you want help with coming to the end of life or sorting out palliative care, you can get help through the Red Cross as well. They do hire in bed, so you can keep the person at home with you for as long as possible if you're doing home care. That's a beautiful service the Red Cross offer here in Portugal. There's Red Cross in Castelo Branco. And also, if you want support with getting through funerals together, navigating the system, organising funerals, cremations, services, give us a shout. I'm only at the end of the share and care message thing,
That's
give us a
wonderful.
shout.
Well, there's the link there, and so you're able to advocate on the one hand, which is very useful, isn't it? To have someone with a little bit of objectivity and a little bit of an understanding about the local culture when you're going through a very difficult time. It's nice to have that advocacy. And of course, you, as you said, you preside or facilitate ceremonies as well. So you've been doing that for a little while, I think, for a number of different people and families here in Portugal, right, Em?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, okay.
And the thing is as well, like this one, I did do it for over, I'll answer that in a sec, Erica. I do it over the internet. So what happens is, for those that can't get to Portugal, when I do a service, I do it through Zoom and pop it onto a private YouTube link so that people can either join in and speak if they're not able to fly across in time, or I can read things out on people's behalves. And the people who aren't able to be present in physical body at the place, they can join on the internet. Any type of organisation to care for people bereaved by death from suicide, share and care. I pretty much run share and care. Carl does help me. He's an amazing help, support and fellow admin person, because we both believe in carrying on Debbie's legacy. So thanks, Debs, for that. It's what kind of brought us together.
Yeah, absolutely.
All this is thanks to Debs. So she came to me because I'm a Samaritan. I was trained by Samaritans, and I worked years ago doing surveillance to help prevent suicides as they happen on the railways in London through Network Rail. I have continued doing that as a Samaritan and also as a doula. I have done quite a bit of training for people, and I've got my mental health first aid. If someone's contemplating suicide and needs someone to talk to, come to me. We will sit together. That's totally cool. Don't be ashamed. There's nothing to be ashamed about. Come to me. We'll just go through it. When it comes to people who've loved and lost, it's a really, really difficult time. I appreciate that. If you're managing, which is what you're trying to do, managing someone who's trying to take their life or has done, come to me again. I do grief and bereavement counselling. I've got a book, Meeting Your Grief. Have you showed that, Carl? Should I just grab my
I'll do
book?
that. Yeah, that's great.
So this book, available free on Kindle Unlimited. I'm having it translated into Portuguese at the moment.
Excellent.
And you're able to get it from me or get it on Amazon. In here's a little bit about that, but I'm also here to help you after, if you have lost someone through suicide. I'm also trained to support you through your grief. It's a hell of a journey. No, you're not alone. There's many of us out there who've unfortunately had to experience that side. It is very important you get a talking therapist that you can talk to. If you can't talk, that's okay. I do things like art and art therapy and energy medicine. So I help people and embodiment practices acknowledge your grief through different ways. You don't always have to talk about it, but you do need to learn how to express it and express it in a safe way. So I am here for you. My book is there. It's like a little pocket guide to grief. It's got all sorts of things in, including all the types of grief, how to find like tools that help you cope with grief, like mindfulness tools, talking therapy. So it's 10 ways to manage your grief in there.
What a wonderful resource.
There's
Thanks for that.
plenty of things in.
All right.
So
There's the link for it on Amazon.
thank you. I've got to go now, unfortunately, but I love being here. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. I think maybe Erica needs to reach out to you on that question there. But yeah, I know you got to go. So thank you so much for being with us this morning. Take care. Lovely to see you there with the sunshine on your face. Take care and bye for now. Thank you, Em. Gumper dust. There you go. There she goes. You are such a gift, Em. Muito obrigado from James there. Wonderful. Yeah, and Em's book right there if you want it. And Erica K, can I suggest that you reach out and have a chat with Mamabear directly. Philomena, look at this, some fantastic Portuguese here for you. And talking of idioms and turns of phrase, thank you very much, John. As we connect in just a few moments with Paul, before that, let's catch up with a few of the themes in the chat that are returning to the Portuguese language, which is, of course, what we're talking about with Paul. He has a simultaneous in-ear translator for understanding Portuguese. I want to find out more about how that works. Filomena is here. Tia Filomena. Hola, bom dia. Mais vale tarde que nunca. Better late than never, in case you want to make a note of that for use later on. Thank you very much. Talking of idioms explained. Is this a new feature, João de Norte? They used to use urine to tan animal skins. My Mrs. M, Louisa here, her maiden name is Tanner, so presumably this is what that family used to do before I took her away from all of that. Families would pee in a pot and then once a day would sell it to the tannery. If you had to do this to survive, you were, let me just, if you look away now, if you don't want to hear a naughty word, you were piss poor. Idioms explained there. Thank you very much. Another one, idioms explained, but worse than that, there were the really poor who couldn't afford a pot. They literally didn't have a pot to pee in. So thank you very much for that. Carrying on with the beer label. I can explain this, Paul, who's watching behind the scenes now. The reason I've got an empty beer bottle here is really to teach Portuguese, and no other reason than that. It's already been enjoyed. Not this morning, I hasten to add. But yes, you can say desculpe, as in the English equivalent of excuse me. I beg your pardon. When, for example, you stop someone in the street to ask them something, you can start the question. Thank you. This is so useful in the upcoming booty campy sort of thing. Not booty camp. That's different to a boot camp, of course. But boot camp. starting a conversation with a stranger in Portuguese, you can start the question here with "Olá, desculpe," as in, excuse me. Yes, can you help? Ajuda-me, faz favor. Okay, Michael Barton also in. Bon dia, Gumpers from Michael Barton. And yeah, Erica K, thank you for that. And yeah, reach out to Em. I think you'll have a lot to chat to Em about. Great show. Thanks. Fab work Em is doing. Absolutely right. You certainly do some precious work, Em. Thank you from Liz F as well. Wonderful. And lovely chat with Mama Bear. Thank you both for handling the tough convo with love and sensitivity. You know what? I'm going to just do a little screenshot because she's gone now with that. So I'm going to make sure she can see that a little bit later on today. Desculpa formal. There we go. Desculpa informal. Thank you very much, Tia Philomena. I just want to, let me just do that screenshot very quickly before we talk to Senor Ricardos down there in the Algarve. I dare say he will mention the fact, everyone, get ready. We're going to get ready for a little bit of Algarve love. Big fan of the Algarve is Paul, and I'm sure he will mention the fact about where he is here in Portugal. So let's give him a big round of applause now and find out about this in-ear translation thing. Bring him onto the screen. Hola, bon dia. Now then.
Hey up, how you doing?
Hey up, how are you, Paul?
Fine.
Good,
in this beautiful Algarve weather.
Oh, you're in the Algarve, are you?
I didn't tell you that. Oh, sorry.
And you've come this morning because we had a little conversation, didn't you? I think you were, it was actually over the phone. We were talking in quite the old-fashioned way, weren't we? Beyond messages, and we actually had a chat with each other. And you were telling me about this new device you've got that you can pop in your ear, and you can have a real-time translation of what's being said to you in Portuguese or any other language, for that matter. Am I right?
I know it sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? But
It does.
I mean, I've been in Alvo now for nearly 3 years. And to clarify my Portuguese learning and language, I'd say I'm at the level of being crap.
No, that's not what C1 stands for, is it? C1 is advanced level. You're at the other C level.
I struggle. I'll be honest with you. I struggle with
why, Paul? Why? Tell us what it is. What is it about you? And I mean, is it all languages? I mean, because you've been in France, you speak a bit of French, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you an example. When I was in France, I was there 15 years working in the Alps. And all I can remember is bon journée. And I've been saying this for about 12 months. And I said to a French guy, he said, do you know what you're saying? I said, no, I haven't got a clue. He said, but I get, they all smile at me and say it back, so it must be good news. He says, well, you just sing good day, bon, good, Dieu, day.
Yeah.
Like, oh, thanks. I've learned French.
And you had no idea what you were saying?
At the time, no, I hadn't got a clue. And I was stood there, everybody was passing on the skis. Bonjour.
You know I mean, I'm. Would you agree with me? I don't know quite how to put this, but I think the Portuguese are a little bit more forgiving of you not speaking their language than the French are.
Yes, that's absolutely true. Yeah.
Okay.
The French just expect you to speak French.
Yes.
Unless you're in a high tourist area, then of course it's like everywhere else,
Yeah.
I mean, one of the problems, not a problem, in the Algarve is that the Portuguese, 90% of the Portuguese speak English.
Yeah.
And they really want to push their English language because it's good news for them. They can get a better job, there's more opportunities. Mm. And I've been in a situation where, look, we'll just speak English. And of course, it's easier for people like myself to fall back into English.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's one of those things, they say you come to the Algarve to learn English, not Portuguese.
Well, for the very first time, I heard it referred to as the Algarve because all people are there.
Well, there's a lot of people there. Well, there will be shortly. We're into April now, so May. The flood is starting to arrive. But to be honest with you, I mean, it's fairly quiet at the moment.
Eerily so. The eclipse.
Wherever you want, the motorways, there's nobody on them.
So we could reframe that. You're actually doing Portuguese people a massive favour by continuing to speak English and having them practice with you.
Yeah, they actually want to speak English. It's in their interest. And being a lazy sod, I tend to fall back into speaking English.
However, you have intervened on yourself there, and you found something that appeals to you. Because I know you like a bit of technology, right? So this appealed to you on that basis, presumably. How did you? How did
I'm
you
into
discover it?
toys, aren't I? I like my toys, but
Yeah. Okay. So it's a gadget, a toy. How did you first discover it? And
Well,
what
I
did you
get a
do?
million emails a day. It's just a joke, really. And this thing came to me, and it's what the hell's this? This kettle thing. What the hell's all this about? Time kettle.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it. There it is.
Okay.
That's the box it comes in.
Okay.
And basically, it's a pair of ear things you put in your ear. But it's the only one where you can get simultaneous transmission. I mean, if you go back 20 years, I spoke, you spoke, I spoke, you spoke. That's how it used to be, a bit like on an airplane. But this is the only one that you can actually talk at the same time. And you can, seriously, I mean, it's still fairly new to me. And I thought, I'm a bit cautious about this. Come on, it can't do it. And I went to my local bar, and I spoke to the young lady there who speaks perfect English, Portuguese. I said, come on, can we try this? Let's have a go at this. Put this in your ear now, see if we can talk. And she went, oh, all right then. And we both looked at each other like, wow, it works. Suddenly she's speaking away in blooming Portuguese, and I'm understanding what she's saying.
What are you hearing? What are you hearing in your ear?
I was hearing a voice saying everything to me in English, and she was speaking in Portuguese.
In her voice as well?
No, not her voice. No,
right.
It's a voice you can choose. But it was it's quick. It was nearly a conversation that you were having with a normal person of the same language, which
incredible.
To me was incredible.
And how accurate was it, do you think?
Well, they claim 95% of the language is covered. So, I mean, if you start talking very fast, you start talking technical stuff, maybe, I'm not sure. But I mean, a beer is a beer, isn't it? Can I have a beer? And she understood that, Well, she understood it in English, but she understood it when I said it I said it in English, it came across to her in Portuguese.
Oh, so you gave her one of yours as well?
Well, you get a little thing like this.
But only one person has to. Okay, so
you two of these. You put one earplug in your ear, one in their ear. This is just one.
Okay.
This is just one mode. There's different modes, yeah.
Yeah.
And she can hear through your iPhone, because not only are you talking, it's covering it in writing on the phone.
So it's an app. It's app based.
You've got verbal and you've got communication with the actual writing, so that afterwards you can look at the conversation, you can replay it, and you can that's why it's very good for learning the Portuguese, because what you've said or what they've said, it's there in writing, and you can press a button on your Apple phone or whatever, and it repeats it. So you get the pronunciation correct too, which is, learning one word at a time. It's a different thing when it's a sentence, because you lose the meaning of the sentence, if you follow it.
Wow. So this is extraordinary. This is quite extraordinary. And it has the same alarming possibilities that I fear and feel with AI as well. It's like, where is this headed? So presumably another mode is that you would just keep them in your ears, and you could walk about hearing the world translated into English in a Portuguese world.
You can set it so you can be in listening mode. So you've got your ear thing in your ear, and you've got your phone there, and you can literally hear the conversation of people near you.
Yeah.
They're speaking all in Portuguese, and it's coming back to you in English or whatever language you want. It's not just, it does loads of languages. It's not just Portuguese.
No, of course. And so presumably then, does it need to be connected to Wi-Fi to refer to the whole lexicon? Your
phone is it works with your phone, obviously, which is partly Wi-Fi.
But the earbuds are Bluetooth to the phone.
Yes,
and then it's either all the software is already in the app, or the app connects to the database of the company.
No, it's all in the app. I mean, when you go into app, and it says connect to your phones, so it Bluetooth automatically to your earpiece. But you can have it in listening mode, you can have it in speaking mode, so you speak and it comes through the phone in Portuguese.
Wow.
So if you were going to our friends that's what we used to be SEF, and you want to speak to them and talk in English, they can hear exactly what you're saying in Portuguese, and they can see it written on your telephone.
So that might be a situation in the future, if it hasn't been done already, by somebody who's similarly interested in gadgets and so on, is you arrive at your CEF appointment and you have one earbud in and you offer the other one to the other person. Right?
It ain't gonna happen, is it? Come on.
I don't know. Maybe if you get the right person, it could happen. And then you put the phone on the desk, and then you're talking to each other. I mean, it is proper science fiction stuff, isn't it? And on a good day, it's all working well. And then on a bad day, you know, your battery's going, and the Bluetooth isn't connecting, and all the translation software isn't quite up to speed. And it could be hilarious as well, couldn't it?
Well, you go back to smiling, don't you? Because if you smile, you get away with murder, don't you?
Well, I understand that is one of your favourite ways of operating in this.
It is, yeah. It gets me out of a lot of trouble, I must admit. You don't hit somebody who's smiling at you, do you? You know, so that's why
generally not, I guess. One of the challenges of learning a new language, says James, is not to default to your native language when spoken to in it. Stick with your new language. Yes, and I did that yesterday. I was riding a bicycle up my street, uphill, and the first gentleman who I waved to, my neighbour, said something, and I felt a bit bad because I didn't say devagar faz favor, because I was trying to cycle up a hill, so I wasn't able to say desculpa, you know, and could you repeat? So I just did that smile, which is the smile of he'll either assume I understood and didn't say something serious that I meant to respond to, and off I went. Or he'll think I'm a complete idiot because he said something like, you know, your back wheel is about to explode. Stop. And I carried on smiling and cycled up the hill. But then there was another neighbor or guy walking his dog in the neighborhood, and he shouted something out. And I knew it was like, you know, come on, you can do this. So I was shouting out, Forza! And he shouted back at me, Forza Portugal! And there we were shouting in the street as I was cycling up the hill. In one of those lovely moments. So I stayed, as you say there, James, with the language. It's a bit disarming when your earbud has a male voice and you're speaking to a woman. Have you tried that?
No, because you can change the voice on the machine. So, but I mean, if you're talking to a man and a woman at the same time, because it'll speak up to 6 people.
No. Why does it? How does it choose? How do you know it's got a limit?
Well, the voices are coming through to the mobile phone, and then it's called translating it back to you. The only problem is if you're in a bar that's very noisy, for example, then it doesn't work as good as it should do. I mean, it's like everything. It's an aid. Don't rely on it 100%. And
fair enough. It's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. So there you go. And presumably you can, a bit like SatNav, you can, you know, pick voices, maybe have a celebrity. John Cleese you could have in your ear, couldn't you?
Well, what I did the other day, I put the television on and I picked a Portuguese program, and they're all speaking away in Portuguese, and it actually translated what they were saying. And
that's exactly how it should work, right?
Yeah, but I mean, you've got one. I mean, I'm not happy about giving an ear thing to somebody else who I don't know. He might have an ear.
Exactly, there is. I was thinking that as soon as, you know, you've got to carry some wipes around with you as well, haven't you?
Well, yeah, it's tricky, but what you can do is you can put yours in, which you know is okay.
Yes.
And it will go through the phone. So the language is being transformed from English to Portuguese loud, so the person can actually hear from your mobile phone. It doesn't need an earpiece.
So the big question
talks back to the telephone, which is facing his way, and it comes back to me in English.
Right. The big question is it improving your Portuguese, would you say?
I'm not sure yet. It's still early days. It's early days.
Yeah, okay. So it's a research project. I mean, I guess the first victory is that you are able to communicate in a way that you weren't before.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you a situation. I went to get some logs the other day, and it's a new guy I've never met before, and he didn't speak a word of English. Not a apeth, nothing, zero.
Apeth.
And I went, oh my God. And I finished, I says, I want some logs, you know, and I pointed to the logs, and I learned a new word. Is it mule? A mule kilo, half a kilo.
Oh, meia kilo, see.
Meia kilo, that's it. That's Yorkshire version.
Half a kilo of wood, that's not very much. Or a ton.
It's enough.
Okay. Yeah, it's a Yorkshire ration. Like, don't burn it all at once. Okay.
So we were getting nowhere. So fortunately, I rung Nelson, my good old Nelson Gardner. Yeah. And I said, sort this out, Nelson. For Christ's sake, can't you tell a word he's saying? And they were all organised, we're all smiling, we're all shaking hands afterwards.
Yeah.
And of course, he's extracting money from me, so he's happy.
Yeah, of course.
And
And you're
then
a
he
bit
came
unhappy.
on time, delivered the logs, and we were all pointed to different things. And I went log in English, Portuguese, and told me. Can't remember now because it's gone.
Leña is firewood, isn't it?
Right, and we got on all right. But it's that situation where maybe if I'd have had the machine with me, we
Oh, I
would
see.
have.
I thought you were going to tell us where it was working. So yeah,
No, I didn't have it with me.
in that situation, that's the first thing.
Forgot.
You've got to remember to carry it with you.
Yeah, well, it's small enough, isn't it? Blimey, it's nothing,
And
is
some
it?
people have got Alexa, and you've got Nelson, right? So you just shout Nelson, and the magic.
Well, yeah, he's always there. Good old Portuguese. He's a smashing bloke. He's my gardener and pull mine. So.
Oh, hold on a minute. This is one of the moments we live for. Alenia, I think I'm getting a muito bem.
Muito bem.
Now, does your app say that to you occasionally when you speak Portuguese? Because that's what I would want. I would be able to, if I was talking, olá, bom dia, tudo bem, and pode ser café, faz favor, and then I would like to hear this in my ear.
Muito bem.
Which would encourage me and condition me all day long to speak Portuguese. Does yours do that?
No, James's voice is a bit strange, isn't it?
You want James doing yours?
Well, he did that sound, didn't he?
No, that's Philomena saying that.
You had the sound. That sounded the same to me.
James and Philomena sound the same. That app has affected your hearing, I think. Right. Okay. What's this? I had one that I got when they. Oh, so James is an adopter. You're twins. You're translation twins here. That I got when they first came out years ago, and it didn't manage well with ambient noise, and then just spoke rubbish like the horse talks red. Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah, I've had a bit of that. I did sort of do it something, and I was getting something in Chinese, and I thought, well,
I'm really not. I'm not hopeful about this experiment. But we must have you back in a month to see how it's going. Okay.
Well, to be honest with you, there are different models, and this new one, this WT3, whatever it is, this Edge, is supposed to be a lot better. To be honest with you, I mean, it's more expensive as always, but I mean, this company do different models. I mean, they kick off at about 140 euros.
Yeah,
but that's I speak, you speak situation. It's not simultaneous.
Okay.
They do the one I've got, which is about 300 euros, just over 300 euros. And then they do a superstar one that's 650 euros, but is more for commercial use where you're doing speaking to different, it'll take about 20 people at the same time. And that doesn't need internet or anything.
Why does it decide how many people? I mean, does it say person one? It recognizes their voice and says person one is saying this, person two is saying that, for example.
Well, it's the capacity of what it can take in. I mean, the one, what they call the X1, this is the one that's a very expensive one, the 650. Yes. That can take up to, I think, 20 people all talking at the same time, all in different languages.
Oh my goodness, the Tower of Babel app. Okay. Hey, didn't want to say this earlier due to the subject matter. Thank you, Sarah, for your sensitivity there. The Delphins did an awesome rock and roll show on Saturday night. They're doing 2 more shows in the Madeira and Açores. Worth the trip to see the Delphins. And what was that no traffic day like on the Marginal between Cascais and Lisboa recently? Sarah, what was it like there? Were you cycling? And I think the perfect application for this device is when we travel in Europe and just don't happen to know all the languages. Yes, when I've been to Italy and I walk into a shop and say bon dia, that is a little bit confusing because I just thought I'm abroad. I'm in Portugal. I didn't remember in time that I was in Italy as well. Fantastic. Okay, so we'll have you back in maybe a few weeks to see how this experiment is going. In the 10 minutes we've got, and it's a little bit of time, perhaps we could talk about Yorkshire and the Algarve. Came to my attention the Yorkshire tea. Do you drink this brand here, Paul?
To be honest with you, Carl, I don't drink tea.
What? Call yourself a Yorkshireman? I can't believe it.
No, I'm a coffee man, so I don't drink tea at all. No.
I think my it's instantaneous translator just failed then when the Yorkshireman said he didn't drink tea. But is it true that he grow the tea on the foothills of the Pennines?
I think it's the water, the Yorkshire water has to have Yorkshire water.
Okay, fair enough. Yep. All right, well, that's Yorkshire dealt with then. The Algarve, and you've been very restrained in your love and praise of the Algarve. How long have you been there? Tell us a little bit about where you live and why you chose to live there.
I mean, originally we lived near Albufeira, a place called San Rafael.
Oh, yeah.
We only used to go there for winter, so like 4 months at a time, just the whole of winter. But then when our dear friends Brexit came along, couldn't do that.
Yes.
And so we decided, well, it's time, time of life to come to Portugal. And so we decided on Alvo, which is very central in the Algarve. If I go to Spain, across there on the east side, I can be there within an hour. If I want to go to Sagres, I can be there in half an hour. So the positioning is very, very good. In fact, I have a little bone to pick with you. I hear you're stealing my friends.
It's possible. Go on.
Yeah? Jackie and Chris.
Oh, yeah.
They're coming to live in your town.
Well, the thing is, when people come and experience the lifestyle of the Silver Coast, there's no looking back, Paul.
Well, I must admit that the day I was in San Martin de Porta, I must admit I was very, very impressed. Actually.
It happens. Yeah. People fall in love
with
it.
Lovely horseshoe bay there. Yeah.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
And you've called us just down the road, which is fantastic.
I can see you there in your budgie smugglers having a swim of a morning in the horseshoe bay.
Yeah, I don't think so.
With you getting your in-ear translator waterlogged. Talking to the dolphins,
maybe. That's the problem.
Does it do dolphin as well?
Yeah, no, look, sparks coming out of here.
But still, you love the Algarve, don't you? And tell us a little, for people who are watching from the United States, for example, and they're trying to figure out where to live. What's so special? Because you have gone head to head with a number of other people on promoting the Algarve, of course, notably, famously. What is great about it? Why should people live in the Algarve if they're thinking about living in Portugal?
Well, as you know, I've been looking at properties for a long, long time. Well, we've got a lovely property here in the Algarve.
Yeah.
But the main reason I came to live in Portugal was the weather.
Yeah.
When I get out of bed every morning, not too early, and I look outside, it's a blue sky, the sun's shining, and it's warm.
Yes.
And as you get a little bit older, that's what you need. The aches and pains disappear with this lovely sunshine we have here. Oh. And I would seriously buy property in the north or even where you are, even as far as Braga, but it's just the weather. I left UK to come to the sunshine, and I nearly get it every day here in the Algarve, and that's the difference.
Well, there is some controversy about that. I've got a Portuguese on Thursday, and he's got a real bone to pick, a beef with me about talking about 300 days of sunshine here in Portugal. For you, that's true, right?
No, it used to be. I mean, this season we've had quite a lot of rain, actually. I mean, normally in the Algarve, it'll rain for half an hour, and then the sun comes out. Fantastic.
Yeah.
But just recently, we've had rain and those grey skies that we're not used to for all day. And I do think the season is changing. I mean, a lot of people, like Jackie said, I'm going to live up the north because it's too hot in the Algarve in summer.
Yeah.
And I said, well, to be honest with you, in Portimao maybe, but where we are, we get the wind and it just cools it nicely, So an average temperature, I mean, this weekend, it's going to be 28 degrees and blue skies.
Yes.
So what's wrong with that, But she said it's too warm for us in summer, so that's why we're going up to live near Carl,
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's all about finding the Goldilocks sort of spot, isn't it? But you're right. The weather has been quite disrupted for one reason or another in recent times. Is that your experience of coming to Portugal? Is that we've had some very unusual weather in this last year?
Yeah, I mean, I've been there, nearly 3 years or 4 years, 7 years nearly. And I must admit, I have seen the seasons change. I mean, okay, in the Algarve, we do need the rain. We're desperate for water. So if you live here, you accept it. But if you just come for a week and it's rained the whole day, you're not happy, are you?
No, it's true. But so this water situation, I mean, I'm thinking every time it rains and everyone says to me, oh, yeah, we definitely need it. We definitely need it in the Algarve. And somebody was telling me the other day, actually, that they were talking about, the government were talking about making a water highway, Rua d'Água, which was a way of piping water from the north to the south of the country. That was a plan for doing so. Have you got enough water now after all this rain?
Well, the dams are a lot higher than they were. In fact, they said that it rained 1 week, which was equivalent to a season's rain in 2021. So it's more healthier, because I tell you what, when it rains here, it doesn't half rain. It's like being in a jungle. It comes straight down,
Yeah, rods of rain. Okay.
Absolutely, yeah, stair rods, yeah.
All
but
right,
I mean, we are better, because there were talk of an hosepipe ban that's going to come in force in June. And a few people were, the commercial people like the painters and decorators who need water for things like that, they were getting all together to discuss that. But I think it has eased. and we will know later as we go into the season. But it's certainly healthier now at the dams than what they were, say, 3 months ago. So,
Okay,
fingers
that's good
crossed
to
on
know.
that one.
Right, going in the right direction. Getting ready to move north because real estate prices in the Algarve are out of reach, says Erica K. And Gemini says, Erica, Algarve is expensive, very expensive. Do you agree? Are there still bargains to be had down there, Paul?
There's certainly, yeah. I mean, you've got to look. I mean, I've in the 2 years I've seen the prices go crazy here in the Algarve. Unrealistic, I would say. But I look on Idealista, which is the good barometer and where the information is really.
Yeah.
And you come back the week after and they sold it. So, people are buying, but there are bargains, yeah. But you can't go into the posh places like Villamora or where Villaloba and expect to buy a property for 200,000 euros. It ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
But the good news is when you want to sell it, they sell so fast.
Yes. Yeah.
Now
Okay.
that's the difference, and you, even if it's what you want, pay the price. Don't negotiate, just pay it because somebody else is waiting in the wings to buy it after you. Don't think, I want so much off because I'm a cash buyer. It don't work like that here. Down here, it doesn't. Might do up further up north. I'm not sure.
Just get on with it.
They do sell fast. I mean, you talk about expense of the Algarve. If you go to the main places, like you go in Lisbon or Porto, you'll pay the price. But if you go to the local bar, I pay €1.20 for a beer. Well, I don't think that's bad.
No, very good value, which brings us back to Yorkshire. You are trying to learn Portuguese. You have your in-ear translator for doing so in real time. I wonder if you could treat us to a little bit of a Yorkshire lesson as well. You started with you started with an A up. What is the customary sign off or goodbye in Yorkshire?
Oh, there's loads, isn't there? There's loads.
Go on.
See you later, pal.
See you later, pal. Say there as well.
Hey, that's my favourite. Hey, how you doing, cock?
So you can use A up like ciao. You can use it for arriving and going.
Yeah, because you don't have to use. It's not like morning or afternoon. It's hello, isn't it? It's the same thing.
And is there a male and female, like in Portuguese? Is there a male and female form of it, or is it everyone a man? Effectively,
no, Yorkshire people don't understand that.
Yorkshire, the county where men are men and women are men. Okay,
and sheep are women. Yeah, I know you're going to say that. Yeah.
Oh no, I was definitely not going to say that. I can't believe you just said that. All right, Paul, thank you so much. We look forward to speaking to you in a few weeks to see how it's going.
Fluent Portuguese.
Why is it called a time kettle as well?
I have no idea. It's a guy who's in his young 30s. It's something to do with Babylon language. He learned it from there, and he says, "Wouldn't it be?" And in Star Wars, he saw all these things in futuristic things, and he said, "I can do this with my technology," and he did.
He did it. He went ahead and did it.
So it's probably a multimillionaire now. I don't know.
Well, maybe he'll be calling you if all goes according to plan, and you are bilingual within a few weeks because of his time kettle. You'll be rich and famous in the United States, touring around with him, talking to other people. Paul, thank you so much. Loved even more famous, even richer is what I meant to say. Take care. Love to the Algarve.
All the best. Take care.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me just give you a proper round of applause. There he goes. Fantastic. Ciao. See you, mate. Bye. Okay. Now then, Eki Thump. He didn't say that, did he? Right. We've had a change on the T-shirt. We can't use a red L on the T-shirt or even a blue one because L means loser in the United States, and nobody wants to be a loser or have that emblazoned across their T-shirt. So back to the drawing board with that. And another notice, we have our wonderful Raquel of Lighthouse Consulting, and she is running a workshop webinar for freelancers. When do you file tax in Portugal? When do you have to file for VAT? When do I have to pay Social Security? All the time, actually. But she'll tell you how it works. She'll show you how to use the tax portal, how to invoice in the tax portal, how to see your tax deductions in the tax portal, how VAT works here, how Social Security works here, and how personal income tax works in Portugal, and how to view your NHR status. That is something, if you're interested in those, you need to reach out to Raquel, and she will be running that on the 29th of April, straight after the show here. You could go from the Good Morning Portugal show to that masterclass with Raquel there at 10 o'clock. So we'll see you again tomorrow, and we'll be in the company, hopefully, fingers crossed, with the man of the moment. Our Tamar episode will be premiering this coming weekend. So Andy Klein has done a great job, so we hope to speak to Bobby tomorrow about that. And Heather from Boots on the Ground Portugal will be with us, as will Paul Rees of Rural Properties, and the man who knows a lot about developing property in central Portugal. So we shall see you then. Give yourself a nice big round of applause. Thanks, Mama Bear. Thanks, Paul. Take care and bye for now. And we'll see you tomorrow. Hasta mañana.